live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. All social media handles and around the world on myjoyonline.com. This is Joy News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. In the headlines, this are public sector workers' salary at risk as the entire government risks a shutdown at the start of 2025 following the failure of the finance minister to present the mini budget yet again.
The minister is aware of his responsibilities and he is not minded to renege. And certainly the voting account will be presented.
We have details as the minority alleged a grand scheme by the MPP to hamstring the future John Mahama at government.
A new government will be ushered in early January. So we need expenditure in advance of the budget.
Also coming up, President-elect John Mahama reviews planned reforms to curb debt, boost local industries, and revamp procurement laws.
We want to raise accountability to another level. It's in our constitution that we shall uphold the principles of probity and accountability.
We will bring you details of his meeting with the U.S. ambassador to Ghana. Also, fresh details emerging reveal suspect in the Kwashieman cluster of schools fire outbreak that destroyed electoral materials, disposed of some printed ballot papers, and bent it with tires. We'll bring you details of preliminary investigations by the fire service. Well, salaries of public sector workers for the first 3 months of 2025 with the entire government machinery are at risk of shutting down after Finance Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam failed yet again to present the mini budget. The document was expected to be presented yesterday, but the minister did not show up. On Tuesday also, the minister was not in Parliament, igniting fierce controversy. Minority Chief Whip Kwame Govins Agbeja is alleging a grand scheme by the MPP government to hamstring the future John Mahama administration. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwashieman reports.
There's a looming government shutdown if the 2025 mini budget is not approved. The mini budget will cater for the first quarter of 2025, that is January, February, and March. It will pay government salaries and it will ensure that government agencies keep running when a new government comes in place before it presents its substantive budget. But that is all at risk because the mini budget, which is supposed to be about 68.1 billion Ghana cedis for the first quarter of next year, has still not been presented. Parliament has been sitting since Monday. It has been on the order paper, and that document has still not been laid by the finance minister in Parliament. On Monday, there was a big controversy over this, and the indication was that the finance minister would do it on Tuesday. Tuesday has come, Parliament has sat, and Parliament has since adjourned, but there has been no movement on that.
I hope there's no conspiracy to make it impossible for this to be laid, to be taken, until Parliament, the 8th Parliament expires. The whole world would have known that it was a deliberate decision of somebody not to lay this to be taken. I hope the rumors circulating are false. I just hope it's false.
But the 2024 NPP running mate, who is also the MP for Menchia South, Matthew Boku Prempe, says the NDC MPs are simply after their own interests.
Mr. Speaker, it is not the first time in this House that even a minister brings a document and decides that I'm going to withdraw the document. It will not be the first. So the fact that the Speaker has got the expenditure vote on account doesn't mean the Minister of Finance, in the light of what the Supreme Leader, Kwashieman Sabotu, said, certain things might have happened on the physical space in this country, such that the Finance Minister may be looking at his figures very well.
But Eric Opoku, who is the ranking member on the Agri Committee, says the NPP side have lost, and it appears to him as simply not interested in doing the business of Parliament.
Their tenure has not ended. They have not handed over yet. They still have a duty to perform under the Constitution of Ghana. We have gone through several transitions. No president has ever avoided a critical duty like this in our nation. The new government will be ushered in early January. So we need expenditure in advance of the budget to be able to pay salaries from January, February, March, until a new budget is introduced into this house.
Carlos Ayinkra says the NDC will only get a mini budget if they agree to support government in terms of the 1D1F tax waivers that is currently before the House.
Allow us to bring up the government business for us all to debate and agree to disagree. But you don't tell us what to do. Mr. Speaker, if you wish to ask us what we want to do first, we don't want to present any bills right now. We want to put 1D1F exemptions on the floor so that we debate it and agree to disagree. That is where we want to commence from.
But former Majority Leader Osei Chairman Sabonso has been offering some firm commitments on this matter.
We are where we are. However, Mr. Speaker, I would suggest strongly that the minister is aware of his responsibilities and he is not minded to renege. And certainly the voting account will be presented in the House. I'm just saying that as I've been doing, I'm not able to do that because this morning when we met, he wasn't there. And because he wasn't there, I have no instructions from him. I cannot present the paper on behalf of the minister. But the needful will be done.
If this document is not presented, salaries will not be paid in January, February, and March of 2025. The government will completely grind to a halt and there will be a government shutdown. And that is why both sides of the House are working together to ensure that this mini budget is presented so that government is not shut down in 2025. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Now to the camp of the President-elect, John Mahama. He has announced plans to soon inaugurate a committee dedicated to ensuring he achieves his 120-day social contract with the people of Ghana. Now, this contract includes the Operation Recover or Loot Oral initiative, which aims to combat corruption by investigating allegations, recovering misappropriated state resources, and prosecuting offenders. Speaking during a courtesy call from members of the Apostolic Fathers, he stressed his administration's commitment to enhancing accountability. We'll hear from John Mahama in a moment, but first, founder of the Action Chapel International and member of the Apostolic Fathers, Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, urged Ghanaians to manage their expectations and rather pray for the president-elect.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe that at the point the media will excuse us. So, but for now, we came with some few proposals to discuss as our guide. Most times when new presidents and government comes, there's a very high expectations that high expectation that everybody has, and so we know that expectations have to be managed because you are a vessel that has come. I mean, these things that people say you've come to save, you've come to rescue, they should be very careful of that because you are a vessel in the hands of God. So they should stop saying that and pray for you rather that God can use you to execute the mandate that the people of this country have entrusted into your hands. I know it's a difficult challenge. During the time you were in opposition, we were talking one time and you were saying that Mama Lodina, you and her were talking, and it was like, what at all are you doing? You know, why are you standing for election with the kind of situation that we are facing and things are going through? But I think that was when you realized that it's a call and it's a mandate of God that you have to fulfill. And I remember that when we talked 2016, I had mentioned to you what I felt prophetically, that you have to leave, and at the right time you come again. And 2020, we met again with Honorable Elvis in my office, and I said to you that, Mr. President, you are not coming now, you will come after 2020. So when 2020 ended, I was very confident, irrespective of whatever anybody said, that it was your time to come back to fulfill mandate and to finish your unfinished business. And I believe that by God's grace, who preserved you, kept you alive, and you didn't die, and you lived, and you are still here, will guide you, preserve you, and give you what it takes to move this nation according to his mandate to where he wants to take this nation to. And we want to pray and believe that at your term of office, that the narrative, the negative narratives that have plagued governments of this country will change during your term in office, and that we will see a new and a beautiful Ghana by the grace of God. In the book of Daniel, the 4th chapter and the 17th verse, the Bible says that all the living may know that the Most High rules in the affairs of men and give the kingdoms of men to whomsoever he wills. And it is very clear that what has happened in Ghana is the fulfillment of Daniel chapter 4 and the 17th verse, that God...
We can now hear from John Mahama on his plans to soon inaugurate a committee dedicated to implementing his 120-day social contract with the people of Ghana.
We carefully selected the things that we thought were achievable in 120 days. And so we're going to work diligently to make sure that at the end of 120 days, we're able to put a check on each of them. And so I'll soon inaugurate a committee that is focused on achieving the 120-day plan. And under it, we have Operation Recover All the Loot. I'm happy you have expressed your support for it, because I do think that people must be held accountable. If you agree to accept the public trust, then you must account to the people who gave you that public trust. And so if we do this, it will make people think twice before they accept public office. I mean, if you live in your own private business, you can run it anyhow you want. That's your business. But if you come and the taxpayer puts, you're put in an office which is paid with taxpayers' money, you must be prepared to account to the people for the trust that they have put in you. And so we want to raise accountability to another level. It's in our constitution that we shall uphold the principles of probity and accountability. And so it's a constitutional obligation for us to do that. As I said yesterday, this probably is our last chance to get things right, because if this administration does not lift the level, then, I mean, people really would look at other means of, being able to achieve what they think would make life better for them. And as I said, we're not immune to what is happening in other countries in our sub-region. And so we need to work as quickly as possible to bring back trust in our democracy. We know that democracy is the best system because it affords you the opportunity to do some of the things that have happened, hold elections, change governments. In unconstitutional governments, whether you like it or not, you live in it, and you cannot make a change if even things are not going very well. So there's a lot of work to do, and I think that in the space of agriculture and agribusiness, agro-processing, that's a new area the churches must begin to look at.
And John Mahama also promised to expand partnerships with religious missions and churches in health and education sectors. He criticized the outgoing government for constructing some of its Agenda 111 hospitals in areas where churches already had established medical facilities.
There are issues that we would want to work with the church with. The church is known for its role in education and healthcare for a very long time. And indeed, in our previous time in office, we had come to the stage where we wanted to see an expanded role of the church, both in education and healthcare. And so one of the things I had indicated was that we needed to have a change of policy in terms of building public hospitals, and that in communities where you had a good operating mission hospital, rather than go and build another hospital to compete with it, we should spend the resources expanding the mission hospital so that it can provide the same quality healthcare that we expect. Unfortunately, in rolling out this Agenda 111, many places where there are mission hospitals, government has gone to plant a new hospital. And already the Ghana Health Service is overburdened. They are not able to manage the hospitals well because we don't have professional health administrators managing those hospitals. You have clinical services, clinicians, and you have hospital administration and management. These are two completely separate fields.
In a meeting with the U.S. ambassador to Ghana, the president-elect said the Millennium Challenge Compact has helped in strengthening Ghana's electricity generation capabilities and expressed satisfaction and optimism about revisiting unfinished MCC projects.
Of course, our relations are historic between our two countries, but I also want to thank you for the warm relation we've had personally since you became ambassador. Your doors have been opened. We have a very good communication channel. And so it's my hope that we'll be able to continue on that track. I want to thank you for the meeting we had with the SD. It gave us a lot of insights and made us understand the level of cooperation between our two countries. And as I expressed to you, we're willing to continue and deepen those relations. Yeah, it's critical even more now than before, because of what Ghana is going through, both in terms of the economy and finances, but more importantly, even because of the energy sector, and knowing the comparative advantage and technology and knowledge that the U.S. has. We want to work closely to see how we can resolve some of the issues in that sector. Of course, we worked on the MCC together, and it's made Ghana's electricity generation sector more resilient than it was before the MCC. As I said, it was just the final part that we couldn't complete together. Luckily, we had the opportunity to discuss with the MCC when we went there to see how we could wrap up that part of our cooperation. And so I think that it's something we'll look to start talking about as soon as we come into office after 7th January. Aside from that, on the security front, we know what the issues in our sub-region are. And U.S. has been a long-standing partner in terms of improving our resilience when it comes to security matters. And so we look to continue that cooperation in that space. One of my passions now is agriculture and agribusiness. And we'll look to see how we can share technology, share knowledge, and see how we can boost agricultural growth and food self-sufficiency in Ghana.
Well, the NDC has issued a fresh warning to outgoing NPP government, declaring that it will not recognize any last-minute appointment, transfers or promotions made during the transition period. In a statement signed by the spokesperson for the Mahama transition team, Felix Kwashieman, the NDC accused the government of acting in bad faith by proceeding with new recruitment and transfers despite a mutual agreement reached during their the December 13, 2024 meeting. The NDC insists that such actions undermine the spirit of a smooth transition and makes it clear that the incoming administration will not acknowledge or uphold these decisions. Let's share with you details of those statements. It says, the transition team of the President-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, has noted that despite an agreement reached at the second meeting of the joint transition team held on Friday, 13th December 2024, that last-minute recruitment, payment, and such other actions be cleared with the joint transition team. The NPP government continues to undertake these activities without recourse to the agreement. The transition team of the President-elect wishes to state emphatically that given the bad faith displayed by the government, all these payments, recruitment, transfers and promotions, some of which have been backdated, will be reversed and where necessary, public officials responsible for them held to strict account when a formal transfer of power takes place. For the avoidance of doubt, all public officials are strongly cautioned to resist pressure from outgoing political actors to engage in these acts as they could attract severe consequences when the new government takes office. That's the statement from the side there. Now, the fire service says its preliminary investigations point to arson as a cause of Kwashieman cluster of schools fire outbreak that destroyed electoral materials at the heart of the disputed Ablekuma North parliamentary elections. The Ghana Police Service has opened a parallel investigation into the incident. The school served as a storage center for election materials for the 2024 parliamentary and presidential elections, all of which were destroyed by the fire. We'll hear from the Ghana Fire Service shortly, but here's a report filed by my colleague Collins Frimpong, who was at the scene earlier.
Around 1 a.m. today, according to an eyewitness. Kwashieman cluster of schools, the school which housed the election materials for the parliamentary and presidential elections in the Boku constituency, was set ablaze. Facilities such as the library, which housed the materials themselves, as well as the science lab and also the ICT lab, were all set ablaze. An eyewitness gave an account of what transpired.
Yes, around midnight, then we got wind of what was happening. So we came around, and there was the police, and then one fire tender.
So, what do you think may have caused this?
Obviously, it is the ballot papers that were being stored here, because behind me, behind the wall, we have discovered ballot papers that have been bent, and this is where the others were also being kept, so generally that's our suspicion.
Do you have an idea of the number of people who came here to do this?
Actually, it's an eyewitness behind the house whose brother has a fitting shop. And so he says occasionally people come to remove things from the parked cars. So he usually is very observant when people are, walking around. So he saw these three guys who strayed into his house. It's a passage through to which you get to the motorway. So these three guys with something in a polythene walked through his house, and he saw them and asked them to, he asked them what they were looking for. They said they were just passing through. They were looking for a way to get to this side of, then he told them that it's not a thoroughfare, so they should, go away. Then he left them. Soon after, then people that were praying on the park saw the smoke, and they heard the blast.
The headmistress, who spoke to Joy News off air, told Joy News that the school management have taken a decision to allow the students to go home today, even though they were expected to write exams and vacate on Thursday. They await the decision from the Municipal Director of Education. Security officials, including the police and the fire service, have begun investigations into the matter.
Now, we've been delving more into this particular development and been speaking to the fire service. A member of the public relations of the fire service, Alex Kenate, says there is evidence that suggests some unknown individuals sought to destroy the ballot papers stored at the collation center.
So it's early days yet to give the conclusive cause of fire. Per our preliminary findings, it points towards arson. So that's why I said preliminary. We are subjecting it to extensive investigation to make sure that we dot all the I's and cross all the T's and not leave any room for mistakes. So yes, we suspect it might be arson, looking at the fact that despite the fire that we saw, the ballot boxes getting burnt in the classroom, there was a deliberate act to burn ballot papers behind the school building, which we found, hand-printed ballot papers that had been burnt. So it raises concern for motive. But then again, as I said, we want to be very conclusive. So who knows? Maybe it could even be an electrical fault that was coincidental with the issue. So we are still looking into it.
So what are your investigations looking at? You're investigating. What pointers are you looking at?
Okay, so a lot of things goes into our investigation. We listen to what the bystanders say. We gather our own information, accelerants that people might have used to start a fire. We look at the electrical installations in the area. Was there power fluctuations at that point? Were there some faulty electrical installations at that point that could have probably started a fire? And so in our investigations too, we are measured, because if you rely solely on the information from eyewitnesses or so-called eyewitnesses. There might be people who just give you information to throw you off. So if you rely on hearsay that, oh, I saw someone doing this, I saw someone saying this, then you might not get a conclusive investigation. So yes, we are listening to what people would say. We would deduce it. We are looking at the elements that came together. We would trace the origin of fire. We would look at where the fire started and what could have started it. If where the fire started is not close to any plug or socket, then it becomes questionable that, then how did the fire couldn't have just ignited on its own. So then we'll be looking at the accelerant. Are there any fuel elements there that could have started the fire? So we are looking at all these elements so that at least we don't leave any stone unturned, and then we as a service, we hold our integrity in high esteem, and being able to come up with a credible investigation is our utmost priority.
Well, the Electoral Commission has temporarily halted the collation of election results in the constituency due to security concerns and threats to EC officials. However, both parties are claiming victory in the constituency. My colleague Jacqueline Ansuma covered the constituency for Joy News on Election Day and walks us through what really happened during the collation of the results in the constituency about a week ago.
Well, Hannah, it was very chaotic. That's on the night the polls closed and the results were being collated. I received a call about a tear gas incident at the Kwashieman cluster of schools. I rushed to the scene to find out that, it was the place was full of chaos that night. And my investigation revealed that that location, that's the Kwashieman cluster of schools, used to serve as a collation center in previous elections. So most people came there thinking that was where the collation center was. So there was a pepper spray incident, which I followed up, and it was resolved later on. So it was very chaotic that night.
Well, the National Democratic Congress is, however, asking the police to fast-track investigations, insisting the party won the parliamentary seat. Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer is the Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the party.
It's an unfortunate situation. It has come to our knowledge, and we think there are Fire Service and the Ghana Police Service will speed up process of investigating the fire to unravel the mystery behind it, whether it's arson or it's just a natural cause. We want to get the report from them to ascertain the truth. But our guess is as good as mine, because we are very clear in our mind that we won the seat fairly. The returning officer declared us as the winners of the constituency. The CI does not make room for any recollection whatsoever. Our opponents are forcing for recollection and pushing for recollection. We are against it. That's why we've gone to court. We've filed a writ in court to stop the Electoral Commission from continuing any process of recollecting any of the constituencies that we have won. So we are very clear in our mind.
Well, away from the election-related matters, but still related to fire outbreak, a devastating fire ravaged a section of Racecourse Market in Kumasi, destroying over 30 shops. The blaze, which started at around 1 a.m. on Tuesday, primarily consumed metal containers and wood shops owned by traders in watermelon, grapes, and cold store operators. The Ghana Fire Service dispatched 3 fire engines to battle the flames and prevent further damage. While no casualties were reported, the fire has left many traders devastated after losing their livelihoods. Nana Boachiyadom has more in the following report.
The devastating fire swept through the Racecourse Market on Tuesday, destroying 30 shops and leaving traders counting their losses. The fire, which started around 1 a.m., quickly spread through the market, fueled by strong winds and largely wooden structures of the shops. According to traders, firefighters from the Ghana Fire Service were called to the scene but delayed in their attempt to quench the fire. They are, however, counting their losses. Naomi Sewa is leader of the Watermelon Sellers Association.
7:30. Me wo fia na yefrɛ me sɛ nana fruit fo no watermelon fo mo wash. Sɛ na what the horse sɛ no mo se jani dem na me se free hen no mo se start free blast ma ho. Na sɛ wo mo pe fire service fo ni enya bi yefrɛ ya no wo mo mfa. Ti ma me frɛ wona bɔkɔ ache ka kyerɛ no.
I heard the news around 7:30. I tried reaching the fire service, but they did not respond on time. So I called Honorable Kwachi, who quickly called them to come to our aid. We lost everything in the shops, including watermelon, apple and grapes.
eba so me beto ma be de akire ni kunu mu nyina wa ha ese watermelon egu mpatani mu de apple ria no wa ye cold room wom apple ni grapes ni nyina ese ahia du ma be de akire ne ho to ne kosi ya fire service for ne ba ya itimi edum ye nkanya sa de a ene nkempata wa ha de mpatani nyina so bia no wa watermelon nim.
The fire was finally brought under control early Tuesday, but not before it had destroyed 30 shops, leaving traders with significant losses. It is very devastating. I came to meet the fire service, but I am sure they didn't come on time. But they rescued some few shops. There are plenty shops out there that got burnt. We need help from government. It's not an easy investment made. We have children and orphans we take good care of. Meanwhile, the cause of the fire is still unknown. The fire service has launched an investigation into the cause of the fire, and the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has promised to provide support to the affected traders. In the meantime, traders are left to pick up the pieces and try to rebuild their businesses. For Joy News, Nana Bochi Dankwa, Kumasi.
This is Joy News Prime. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with more. Please to stay. The break now. The future of 31 students at Boku Technical Institute in the Volta region is at risk as the only second cycle school for over 8,000 residents in the Boku township in the North Dai district faces an imminent closure due to infrastructure deficit, teacher shortage, and a 2-year absence of its principal. With deteriorating infrastructure, students like Adaroma, Christian, Andy, and Elizabeth Cleme plead for urgent action to save their dreams. Carlos Caloni visited the school and has come through with this report.
I want to become an automobile engineer. When I first came to the school, I didn't like anything about the school because no boarding, no practical tools that we used to learn. We don't have anything in the school. So I am so sad of it. Every day when I come to school, we don't have enough teachers. We have only 3 teachers teaching all the subjects, all the courses. So every day when I come to school, I'm very sad. Sometimes I go to one side to cry because we don't have teachers who will teach that we will achieve something in future. So I thought of it that I'll be changing my school because of how this place is. We don't have anything. I can't just be here so that throughout the 3 years, we don't have any hand skills. That means if I didn't even go to school, it's even better.
We don't have enough teachers. The principal too is not coming to school regularly. The classrooms too are not attractive to students to come here.
The cry of Adaruma Christian Andy and Elizabeth Cleme, first-year automobile engineering student at Boku Technical Institute, as they fear their dreams may be shattered by the school's dire state. Established in 1994 under the Integrated Community Center for Employable Skills (ICES) program, the institute is the only second cycle school in Boku, a community of over 8,000 residents in the North Dai district of the Volta region. The school first collapsed in 2014 due to a lack of infrastructure and teachers. Thanks to community leaders' efforts, it reopened in the 2016-2017 academic year with 47 students. Yet, just 6 years on, it teeters on the brink of closure again, with enrollment dwindling to 31. Victor Abochi, a retired educationist volunteering at the school, attributes the school's decline to numerous challenges, particularly the prolonged absence of its principal.
My fear is that if the teachers are not brought and the school collapses again, we are only increasing teenage pregnancy, joblessness, and hooliganism in our communities. We need more classrooms. We also need accommodation for the students on the compound. We have learning material deficit. The principal had abandoned the school for a long time, almost 2 years now, and we need a replacement. Otherwise, the school is going to face another shutdown.
To prevent the school's total collapse, Professor Komlache and a group of locals have enlisted 6 volunteers to train the 31 remaining students. Opinion leader Samuel Joy Dako laments that residents now travel long distances to neighboring communities for quality education.
People have to move from here, some of them on foot, all the way to Vapu Secondary School, Vapu Sectec, about 15 kilometers. If they go by vehicle, problem. If they walk, health problem. Volunteers have put in a lot of effort. But Professor Komarache is our main sponsor. But he has retired and he can use his pension to run the school again. So we are asking, we are pleading with TVET to come in.
Beyond the shortage of teachers, the school grapples with severe infrastructure challenges. Female students lacking proper facilities are forced to change their sanitary pads in the bush during their menstrual periods.
We don't have the place where we urinate, so we go to the bush, and when we want to go to private, we also go to the bush as we girls. But sometimes when we get into our time, we need to change. But also we go to the bush and do all those things.
This is Boku Technical Institute Electrical Engineering class. And as you can see, they have about 3 students in this class. And the future of these kids is at stake. If TVET does not immediately post teachers as well as a new principal to the school to ensure that they're able to study. Reporting from Boku Technical Institute here in North Dai, in the Volta region. My name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
Well, let's bring in the Volta Regional Director of TVET Service, Christian Agoda. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining. Why has this school been this way for all these years when we know that government says I am improving TVET, but Boku Technical has not had the sort of support that it has to?
Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to find out from you why the Boku Technical Institute has remained the way it is, despite the improvement in TVET we've been hearing about.
To get your voice clear.
Okay, let's try again. Is it okay now? Can you hear me? You might have to unmute. You might have to mute your television set and listen to the conversation on the Zoom you're on. That will help us. Okay, so I wanted to find out from you why the Boku Technical Institute has remained the way it is, even in a period where we hear about so many improvement in TVET education. Okay, let's try again. Has this issue of Boku come to your attention?
Well, I'm not. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Hello?
I mean, I wanted to find out from you why the Boku Technical Institute has remained the way it is in such shambolic state in a period when we've seen government dedicating itself to improving TVET education. Why is this the case for Boku?
Okay. Thank you very much for your time, and good evening to all your listeners. Boku Technical Institute is part of the ISS institutes that the Ghana TV Service has inherited. The ISS institutions across the country have peculiar problem, and that peculiar problem is what is depicted by Boku Technical Institute. When we took over the institutes, as the law prescribed in Act 1049 of 2020, the Pre-Tertiary Education Act, there were efforts to resource all the, at least 40 out of the 63 ISS institutes that we have inherited. You know that, or you will be aware that government has retooled a number of TVET institutions, especially the 34 NVTI institutions. The next phase of retooling of technical institutes was earmarked for the 40 ISS institutes. Unfortunately, our challenge with the IMF couldn't allow government to be able to do that at the time. So we are just waiting for a very opportune time to continue the retooling of the other technical institutes. You bear with me that those that has been retooled already have the state-of-the-art equipment. And if Boku should also benefit from the next phase of retooling, their status will change. So it isn't that TV service has failed to do what is required to bring all other institutions to the same level as the 34 NVTI institute that has been retooled. You know that investment in TVET is very huge, and it will be difficult for government to do all the technical institutes, resourcing them, retooling them at the same time. So it is being carried out in phases.
Okay.
And I believe the next phase, if Boku is part of it, definitely the situation will be better.
So you don't even know whether Boku is part of it or not?
Well, I'm not privy to the list, so I can't speak definitely to that.
All right, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. We'll take a break here. We'll bring you Showbiz right after. Do stay. All right, let's do Showbiz now. And Becky Beck joins me in studio with the latest from the world of Showbiz. Hi, Becky.
Hello to you, Brace. Your favorite Manifest is in the news. He has spoken about a recent photo he took with American rapper Nas. Manifest exclusively told Kwame Dazi on Joy FM's Showbiz A to Z what brought about the meeting. Meanwhile, he will be hosting his annual Manifestivities on 21st and 22nd of December. Here's what to expect.
So the first day is on the 21st. It's going to be at Good Park, which is next to the Accra Mall.
Yeah.
I like that venue. It's very spacious. So the first day on the 21st is free. You know, say it after me, free.
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 Free Bonto. The first day is a collaboration we have with Accra Goods Market. So the first day is going to be music, you know, DJs, live art, shopping, food.
Okay.
It's very family friendly as well. So people should just pop through with them, their booze and their children and all that. It's really, we're excited about that because I think we have the demographic we tend to attract people who also like just a quality time like that, you know, sometimes. And it will help to prep you for the next day, which is the 22nd, which is the main event. That's when the fire becomes an inferno.
Now, still on events, Kofi Kinata has announced the comeback of his annual Made in Tadi concert with an exciting lineup of artists set to grace the stage come Saturday. Here is what to expect.
Asamna no da one.
Saturday.
On now or Accra no win team better crowd more on 27th. Obokodo plus 233.
Oh, 27.
Yeah, on na on the show on why the Yeah, be meet Kenata atasa. It's only
meet and greet.
I want to go live band. You are a true life stories, you know. Plus 2 3 when I want to calm.
Yeah, your comedy so.
On true life story. See, ever to know from the church about some more scene na. Time na utumfoma mshada house na. Me feel that is marriage. Intina more kwata krade kakra. But mu atamu mu de senior man ma aba. Mbodu gate na. What the rules and regulations, ma'am?
Boss now.
Hadi, what banai? Nada. You banai, you be a little pay. Program biawa, I'm sorry, program then. No, what you change the problem.
You've asked for it. Made in Taddy is coming back this weekend. In Takrady.
Yes.
And for those of you who are lovers of Kenata, he's bringing.
I'm excited for it.
You'll be there, right?
I'm excited for it. I'm not missing it for anything.
Yeah, so you know some of the artists on the bill.
Is there. Yeah, is there.
I mean, I'm very excited about Samini.
Yeah, Samini
coming back on. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Grandpapa, right? Of
Kenata
himself. Last minute is also there. Last minute is the Kwashieman boy, so downtown.
Medical is also on that list.
Exactly. I'm excited by Okoto Perry. Not many people know Okoto Perry.
Okay.
But Okoto Perry is one of those, respected artists in Central Region. He is like Kofi Kenata of Central Region. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
One of them.
So we're expecting that.
Yeah.
I'm also very particular about Evergreen Band because, I'm excited about it because it's a band and I have a musical band series coming very soon on this channel. But before we go, Brace, let's talk about Adele because a Brazilian judge has ordered Adele's 2015 hit Million Years Ago to be pulled from streaming services worldwide after a plagiarism lawsuit was filed by the Brazilian composer Toninho Gerais. The lawsuit claims that Adele's song featured on her album 25 borrows heavily from Gerais' samba classic Moa, which is called Women, which was recorded by renowned Brazilian singer Martinho da Vila in 1995. Gerais argued that an expert analysis of the two melodies revealed an undeniable symmetry, suggesting the track was plagiarized. The injunction issued by Judge Victor Torres on December 13 in Rio 6 commercial court threatens to impose a hefty fine of $8,000 per instance of non-compliance on the Brazilian subsidiaries of Sony and Universal, Adele's record label. The case is still ongoing, with this legal action adding a new chapter to the ongoing controversy. Fernando Tora, Gerais' lawyer, hailed the decision as a landmark for Brazilian music, which he claims has often been exploited for international success.
Okay.
Well, we'll see where this goes, but that will be all for Showbiz here this evening. I'm grateful that you could have me here on the show.
And in fact, that will be all for the bulletin as well. So thank you for being a part of us. There's more on myjoyonline.com. Coming up next is Pius Kojobaka with Prime Business. Thanks for your time.
Bye.
Ciao.